everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. My name is Roman, and we are here on a nice little pump. Powell pumps the market. We get a Bitcoin God candle here. They're spooling up the money printers, right? What happens when they lower the interest rate? What happens to the supply of dollars? Riddle me this. Do you know what happens? They make loans easier to get, so people are more able to take loans and promise to pay that money off in the future. And when they do that, if I promise the bank to pay $1 million eventually for a home that I'm going to buy, right? That $1 million that I paid the seller of the home didn't exist until I got my loan approved, right? So as soon as the bank approves anybody's loan, they create new money into existence, right? I know, it's crazy, right? And because even though I'm not physically holding the cash, it did create a credit on a statement in a bank, right? Or a debt line, actually, right? Or I guess it'd be a credit from the bank's perspective, but from your perspective, it's a debt, right? But the point here is that whenever new debt gets issued, it's money that the person doesn't have, and so that money gets created out of thin air, and it gets cataloged as part of like your debt profile, right, or whatever. And so when that happens, you in essence unlock the money printers. You in essence allow banks and other ways that you get borrow money by either buying a home, buying a car, buying anything that's on credit, right? A lower interest rate allows you to get further in debt because you feel like you can cover a smaller payment, or maybe at the higher interest rate you weren't qualifying for certain loans, and now at this lower interest rate you might qualify for it, right? But so what that does is it unlocks a bunch of liquidity in the market. It's like giving candy to the stock. It's like giving candy to the economy. And the side effect of that candy, the side effect is of course more inflation, right? Because you're allowing more money to be created, and when all that money gets created, eventually the market realizes that there's more individual dollars chasing the same things, so the prices of things go up. Okay, what's that have to do with us as far as Bitcoin goes? Well, this is like one of the two scenarios where Bitcoin wins, right? I mean, Bitcoin wins either way, right? If they don't cut their interest rate, we continue to stack at these levels, and we continue to increase the amount of satoshis we have in our stack, right? But if the interest rate does get cut and money becomes cheaper to get, right? People can borrow money for cheaper. Then you're gonna have again that sugar rush effect in the market. Everything's gonna go up in terms of dollars. Everything's gonna go up in price. Some things unjustly, right? But yeah, what can you do to protect yourself against that? Because that's gonna also happen against your employment, right? When inflation comes and things get more expensive, if you're not getting a really a year over year 10% raise in your job, you're falling behind just based on your salary, right? So what we do here to prevent that is we save in Bitcoin, right? You save in Bitcoin, and the value of that savings, especially now that if they're gonna really start printing money like that and cutting interest rate, it's gonna again make inflation go up even faster. And really, the only way to protect yourself from that is like getting into an asset that doesn't lose value against the dollar with the inflation they're planning to do. It's going to be crazy. Okay. So again, this is not financial advice, but these are just the thoughts that I'm thinking and how I'm looking at it, at this market and at this potential pump, right? Yeah, it's great. We're going to get a crazy pump on Bitcoin, right? But what does that mean? Like say, hypothetically, right? We get to $1 million Bitcoin today, right? If we get to $1 million Bitcoin today, something's really wrong with a dollar, okay? And that's not good for anybody. So we want Bitcoin to continue to accrue power and continue to grow purchasing power, but you don't want it to accrue too fast, because if it does, that means we're hyperinflating and the dollar is dead, or it's dying anyway, but it's gonna be dead faster than expected, right? So yeah, it's crazy. If you've been on the fence about stacking Bitcoin, you better get some before you won't be able to afford was it 16,000 satoshis for $1? I'm sorry, 850 satoshis for $1. Right? It's crazy. All right, let's get into the first segment of the show, guys. Now that we've addressed the Powell market update, and let's jump into the Bitcoin strength. The Bitcoin strength. Today, the price of Bitcoin is $116,778.66. Going once, going twice, sold. Today you can buy 856 satoshis for a single dollar. What the heck is a satoshi? A satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin. Just like a dollar is made up of 100 cents, a Bitcoin is made up of 100 million satoshis. Why is that important to highlight on every single episode of the show? Because if you're watching for the first time, I want you to understand that you're not priced out at $116,000 Bitcoin. You're not priced out at $120,000 Bitcoin. You're not priced out at $1 million Bitcoin. Okay? No matter what, you can continue to buy fractions of a Bitcoin, satoshis. Okay? If you buy fractions of a Bitcoin, whatever value you set aside in Bitcoin, even if it's not a whole coin, you still reap the same benefits of having a whole, as if you're having a whole coin, as if you had a whole coin. When it comes to immunity of inflation, right? Your hedge against inflation, your inflation resistance, your shield against the constant theft that is inflation, right? Especially now that we're gonna, if they lower the interest rate, like I said, we're gonna have so much more money into the economy. That's gonna lower the purchasing power of the dollars, and if you're saving in dollars, it's gonna lower the purchasing power of your savings, and that means you have to work harder. That means you have to work longer to retire when you thought you would retire. If you want to retire on time, or you originally planned to retire, if you're saving in dollars, it's not going to happen, especially when the big print comes. When the big print happens, the savers in that money are the losers. You're going to get robbed, basically. You're going to be working for, we'll show you the meme and why we stack. But anyway, let's continue with the Bitcoin strength. Today, for a single penny, you can buy 8.5 satoshis, 8 fractions of a Bitcoin for a single penny. When Bitcoin hits $1 million, you'll be able to buy only 1 satoshi for 1 penny. When we started the show, we're buying 40 satoshis for a single penny, and that was about a little over 2 years ago. So that'll give you an idea of how much the dollar has lost purchasing power in the past couple of years. Over 100%, right? Okay, so that said, let's get into... Yeah, that is the Bitcoin strength. All right. Okay. Let's jump into the second segment of the show. It's called Why We Stack, and it's for beginners. Why do we save in Bitcoin, especially on days like today, when you see that Powell's setting up the expectations for a rate cut, maybe 25 basis points, maybe even 50 basis points, right? It might not be a big deal for regular folks day to day, but for the big money, it's a big help, and it's also going to create a lot of, like I said, a lot of money printing. Okay, so when they lower the interest rate, money becomes less expensive to acquire, right? And more money gets created. When more money gets created, the purchasing power of the existing money gets diluted into the new money, right? And so the longer you hold that dollar, the less and less things you can buy with it, because inflation is running away from you. Inflation is taking that purchasing power from you. Okay? When you save in Bitcoin, you take the value of your hard-earned work and you move it outside the inflationary dollar system and into the Bitcoin system, where the supply is capped and it cannot be inflated. 21 million is all there can ever be. There can only be 21 million. I just had an idea for a shirt. When the Highlander, there can only be one. There can only be 21 million. Holding up a sword with the quickening and the lightning shooting down. Anyway, Yes, there can only be 21 million. So what's going to happen when everybody realizes that Bitcoin is a hedge against the dollar that's killing your savings? Everybody jumps in, and if you're here early like us, you're gonna get pumped out of your mind, right? This is what leads up to things like the Bitcoin God candle, and just the real bull run is about to start. Okay, yeah, we've been on a little bit of a bull run, hitting new all-time highs and stuff, right? That's great. Tapping an all-time high and then like falling back, and then making our way up eventually, and then tapping a new all-time high and then dropping out, right? Still not dropping all the way back to like 100K or whatever, right? But still, it's like we've touched all-time high, we tap it, and we come back and we tap it. It's like a cat. It's like it's pawing at it. Like it's always pawing at like all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. But it's never like boom, busts through, and it's like, wow, that's an all-time high. Wow, that's a candle, right? It's always been kind of like tappity tap, knock knock, give the warning. It hasn't been like a crazy candle, right? But if they unlock the money printers like this, and open up all that liquidity, we're gonna see some cool stuff. Okay. Either case, you're better off saving in Bitcoin than not saving in Bitcoin, even if they don't do interest rate cuts. But especially if they do interest rate cuts. Okay, if they don't do interest rate cuts and you're saving in dollars, you're getting poorer. Okay. If they do interest rate cuts and they open up they spool up the money printers and run those things like money guns, right? Then you're getting poorer faster. Right? Moral of the story: saving dollars get poor. Saving Bitcoin, relax, and life gets easier because the value of your savings is gonna increase over time, all on its own. All you had to do was buy the Bitcoin, take custody of the Bitcoin, and repeat. That's it. Okay. So anyway, that is the conclusion of the Why We Stack segment. Oh no, wait, one more thing. Why we save in Bitcoin? We save in Bitcoin because saving in Bitcoin is like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing retroactive raise for the hours you've already worked for as long as you hold a Bitcoin that represents those hours. All right, that is why we stack. That is why we stack. There we go. Woo! Crazy, right? It's crazy. But that's how it goes. You know, you can't. It's crazy. It's crazy. This morning I saw that candle like boop. I was like, man, it wasn't that big of a pop, but still, it's pretty good, right? It definitely like changed the. It definitely changed the direction. A little 4% pop. It's not bad. Not bad. You know, 4% pop. It's at the a little 4% pop. Not a big deal. Yeah. So, but anyway, so we're good. We're set up. Okay. If you're saving in Bitcoin right now, you're going to continue your DCA, right? Your dollar cost average, whatever your frequency is, and however much you committed to yourself to buy, stick with it, okay? Because it's not going to matter in 4 years, right? You just want to be in Bitcoin, okay? And like I said earlier, you're better off in Bitcoin than you are in dollars. Okay, if you're in dollars, you're getting poorer, and if the Fed cuts rates, you're getting poorer faster. Those are your two options in saving in the dollar. If you're saving in Bitcoin, you're either if he doesn't cut, Bitcoin will continue to crab or maybe dip a little bit and come back up. It'll come up slower than if you cut rates. If you cut rates, it's gonna go up faster than normal, right? So you're either gonna be like gaining some purchasing power, or you're gonna gain a lot of purchasing power. So what scenario sounds best to you? The one where both direct, where heads you lose, tails I win, right? Or is it Bitcoin? Heads you win, tails I lose, or the market loses, or the dollar loses, right? Okay, this is gonna be one of the. This is gonna be one of the. I wouldn't say easiest, because it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of time invested into learning about Bitcoin. to have the level of commitment, the level of conviction that I have, or other Bitcoiners that are buying and holding forever have. Okay, it takes a certain amount of guts. It takes a certain amount of knowledge to back up that gut feeling, and it takes just honestly grit and downright stubbornness, I guess, to stack in Bitcoin as much as you can and hodl through the dips and ignore your friends that think you're crazy, family members that want to do intervention on you because you're 100% into Bitcoin. Right? But it works out in the end. And in the end, now they're coming to you asking you for advice. How'd you do it? How did you know? And I'm like, hey, everything I'm telling you today is the same thing I told you last year. Everything I'm telling you today is the same thing I told you last year and the year before that. And everything I told you today is everything I told you 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right? It's like that meme, that Morpheus meme. It's like, what if I told you, I already told you, and you didn't listen? I love that one. That one's so good. But yeah, that is the basics of it, right? That's why we stack. So let's get into the next topic of the show. We call this one, oh yeah, the stack recap, because we don't only talk about stacking Bitcoin here Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We actually do it every weekday. And here is our buying spreadsheet. There it is, direct from the Google Sheet. Hard Hodl in the house. Round of applause from the live studio audience for Mr. Hard Hodl. Thanks for tuning in, Hard Hodl. Hope you're having a great day. Today is what? It's Friday. Dang, everyone's so busy. Friday time, party. Hard Hodl. I had coffee last night towards the end of the day, and I should not have done that. I didn't get to bed last night until about, I don't know, I wouldn't even call it last night. I didn't go to bed. I didn't go to bed until this morning. I went to bed at like 4 or 5 a.m. And then I had to wake. Excuse me. And then I woke up like at 6:30 to help the kids get ready for school. And I'm running on very little sleep right now, but it was worth it. And then I woke while I'm getting ready to take the kids to school. I see this beautiful pump, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're back, baby, we're back." Yeah, I never drink coffee. And I just couldn't get to bed. I ended up doing a bunch of stuff in the garden. I was out there in the garden working on the garden like a raccoon with the raccoons in the background, wondering like when is this guy gonna go inside so I can root through the trash. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm a little delirious right now at this point. But that said, let's get into the stack recap. So in 2025, we've been stacking Bitcoin. We are at $4,960 saved so far. And our stack for 2025 alone has gone up 21.74%. We track each year individually, so if you're new to the show and watching for the first time, you don't get discouraged. You don't think, oh man, these guys have been doing it for 2 years, I'm too late. No, you can start every year. We start every year, okay? So just like we started this year from 0 Satoshis, from 0 Bitcoin, we started in 2024 from 0 Satoshis. See, on January 1st, 2024, Bitcoin was at $43,000. We bought $20 worth, and we got 45,000 Satoshis. And anyway, today, that whole year we saved up $7,345, and now it's worth about 94% more. This should be a red flag to you if you're not saving in Bitcoin yet. If you're not saving in Bitcoin, let me tell you what this means. It means that I got 0.122 Bitcoin for $7,000. And if I was to try and go and buy the same amount of Bitcoin today, it would cost me 94.73% more of today's weaker dollars, because that's how much purchasing power the dollar has lost against Bitcoin just since 2024. Think about that. That's very significant. Just in 2025, the dollar has lost 21% of its purchasing power against Bitcoin. See, it's 0.05 BTC that we bought this year so far. We paid $4,960, But if we were to go and try to buy the same amount of Bitcoin today from scratch on day one, like right now, it would cost us $6,000, so 21% more, because the dollar is losing purchasing power, so you need more dollars to buy the same stuff. Okay? And that's just against Bitcoin, right? You lose purchasing power against other things like goods, right? October 3rd, 2023, my favorite thing to eat, a burrito, cost me $13.70. In terms of Bitcoin on that day, it cost me 49,603 Satoshis. Today, the burrito still costs $13.70, but in terms of Bitcoin, it only cost me 11,726 Satoshis today. So my burrito is now 76% off since October 2023. Boom, right? And you do the same analysis with any other expenditure you have in your life. How would you like 76% off of your favorite meal so far? And next year it might even be 90% off, 95% off, until it's like 99% off. And you're like, hey, wow, for the cost of one burrito back in October 2023, which was 49,000 Satoshis, now I can eat for a whole month. With the same amount of Satoshis I can eat for a month, or I can eat for a year, or you get where I'm going, right? Eventually you'll be able to say, hey, for the amount of Bitcoin that I was going to spend to eat a burrito, I can now eat for the whole, I don't know, maybe not the whole year, but you know what I mean? It's going in that direction. Yeah, like it's trending in that direction. So you're basically, when you work and save in Bitcoin, your life gets cheaper and cheaper as you continue to hodl that stack, right? Here we go. Milk on that same day, October 3rd, 2023, milk cost me $6.99. It's gone up in price since then a little bit. No, I think it's still $6.99. 25,000 Satoshis for a gallon of milk. Today it cost me 5,982 Satoshis, so 76% off of milk. And this ain't the cheap stuff, guys. This is like the organic, no hormone milk, right? It's a savings tool. Exactly. It's like the best savings tool you can ever imagine. Okay, imagine having a magic piggy bank that doubled the money you put into it every 2 years. That is Bitcoin. That is Bitcoin. Okay, we have to write that one down because that's a clear one. Okay, it's the magic piggy bank that doubles your money as long as your money's in it. It'll double your money every couple of years. So about 50% year over year. Okay. Same thing, mortgage, $2,500 for rent or mortgage. That's the average across the United States. On January 1st, 2023, that would cost you 15 million Satoshis. Today, $2,500 only buys you 2 million Satoshis. So that means that if you've been saving $2,500 a month for like a couple months, today you'll be able to pay for a whole year of rent or mortgage with just one saving of $5,000. One saving of $5,000 in Bitcoin 2 years ago can cover you now for a year's worth of rent. It's like, what do you want? If I stopped you on the street on the way to sell your family's cow for some money so you could eat, and I tried, instead of trying to sell you the magic beans to make a beanstalk, I said, hey boy, go sell that cow and take the money and buy Bitcoin with it, right? And in 2 years, it's like having 2 cows. And 2 years from there, it's like having 4 cows, right? So it's like, it sounds like a fairy tale. It sounds like shenanigans. It sounds like a scam. Honestly, it does. But this is why we stack. Sorry, but this is the stack recap, and look, it's right there, it's plain. Okay, oops, where it is, right here. 2024, there it is. 2025, and of course, the full-on strategic Bitcoin reserve for the show since May 22nd, 2023. This is it. This is when I met the guy on the street. This is where I metaphorically met the guy on the street, and I told him the cow for some Bitcoin, instead of some magic beanstalk beans. Right? And now my $5 sale of my cow is turned into $21, or $5 sale of the cow turned into $21. That means I now have 4 cows, right? So in the span of 2 years, a little over 2 years, I have the equivalent of 4 cows after selling 1 cow and converting it to Bitcoin, right? You have to think of it in different ways. So anyway, so far on the show, we've saved $15,789 through this live stream where I buy the Bitcoin online and I show you guys the screen. And we're up about 108%. So our value that we've saved so far on the show, and I've shown on the screen, is $32,000 or 0.28 Bitcoin. We've also acquired Bitcoin through other methods, and of course, all legal and all fully documented not fully documented on the show, but I guess documented, referenced in the show. We've done a 100-day Bitcoin savings challenge, donations from people that watch the show, from other stackers like you, reclaimed BTC, where I sell things out of my house that I don't need anymore and convert that locked energy into economic energy, and I turn that into Bitcoin. Side hustles that I do on the side, and of course my 21moto.com page/YouTube channel. Okay, all right. So that said, so far, total for the whole lifespan of the show, we're at 0.4182667 BTC. Currently 0.8173343 Bitcoin away from half a Bitcoin. And in case I didn't mention it before, the goal for the show is not only to show how easy it is to stack in Bitcoin, to DCA to BTC, to dollar cost average to Bitcoin, but also that I can do it live, and that our goal is to show the process of getting to 1 whole Bitcoin, all the way from day 1 on May 22nd, 2023, from 0 BTC. We bought our first 18,000 Satoshis until the day, and who knows when that day will come, or if it even does come, when we get to 1 Bitcoin for the show. We're at $9,545 away from half a Bitcoin. And honestly, at first it seemed daunting to consider even getting to $1,000 of saving in Bitcoin. But now I look at this number, I'm like, damn, dude, I've saved $15,000 of my own money to get this show rocking and rolling. And so I don't see a problem with us getting to half a Bitcoin. We should be able to get to half a Bitcoin at least, and that'll be a pretty significant accomplishment. But from there, we'll see what happens. We'll just keep stacking, keep the hope alive, and of course, there's other things I'm doing on the side to generate extra revenue. And I'm not gonna go over this right now, but just know that there's other things that I'm doing for the show to generate more revenue, including my consulting service, one-on-one. If you need help getting set up with how to buy Bitcoin, where to buy it, how to take custody of that Bitcoin, and where to store it, all that stuff, all those consultation calls, and any of the spreadsheets I sell. I sell a spreadsheet so you can track your Bitcoin like I do here on the show. Any of those sales get accounted for in the spreadsheet, so it's going to help us get to 1 Bitcoin for the show. So there it is. Okay. All right. I think that covers most of it. All right. So let's check out 2025 one more time real quick. Of course, the price of Bitcoin is above our average buy price for 2025. So that means today we're buying $20 worth of Bitcoin. All right. And now that we know how much Bitcoin we're going to buy, there's only one thing left to do. It's time to stack some Bitcoin. Get my phone out here. Choo! Oops, wrong screen. Oh, wrong screen again. There it is. Getting ready to stack $20 into Bitcoin for yet another DCA on a Friday. Friday DCA. It is a hot day today, guys. I'm gonna go shower and maybe take a little nap before I get back to work. I have 30 minutes. Okay, $20. Buying $20 worth of Bitcoin today on the Stack Bitcoin show. Hit next. Cut the music. Drum roll, please. Hit confirm on the purchase for $20 worth of Bitcoin on the Stack Bitcoin show today, August 22nd, 2025 on a Friday. And just like that, officially, we've added. How much do we add? Oh yeah, 16,952 Satoshis have been added to the stack. Let me just update the spreadsheet real quick, guys, and then we'll sign it off. We'll wrap up the show. Oh yeah. Let's see, today is 8/22. Let me start over. 8/22/25. And the price of Bitcoin we deserve today is $116,918.36. Okay, well, 36 cents. Sorry, I got distracted. We paid $20 for it, and we got 0.00016,952. And that turns out to be 16,952 Satoshis added to the stack. Damn. So good. Gonna update the spreadsheet over here, the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Oh yeah. Making our way back. Making a comeback. Look at all that green. Gee. All right. With today's purchase, the total amount of BTC for the show is now officially 0.41843609. 8605309. I was spending so much on products and microfiber cloth. Oh, I stopped washing my car weekly and put the money in. Dude, that's so good. That's so good. I hardly ever wash my truck, dude. I'm bad. I don't have to go to work, right? So I don't mind if my truck sits out there, it gets dusty. I don't care. It's a truck. It's supposed to look dirty, right? And I had nowhere to go. I just take the kids to school, and like the kids have been off all summer, so I hadn't washed my truck like all summer long. It's just been like dirty, dude. It rains and it gets all like spotty, but it's like a layer of dirt protection. Anyway, my wife was giving me a hard time about it, so like not in a mean way, but just in a funny way. I was like, all right, cool. So we went to the car wash and washed the truck, and it was like, I don't know, it hurt me, dude. It hurt me to spend the $12 to go through like the machine and then be able to use the vacuums and the stuff to clean out the truck. But still, it's like $12. I'm like, damn, $12. Shoot, I don't want to spend the $12 on this car wash. Anyway, it's like, oh, you can get a subscription to this car wash, and you come as many times as you want for like $20 a month. I'm like, shoot, I'd rather DCA that $28 a month and then come get a car wash whenever I need one every 6 months. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's expensive, dude. Super expensive. But if you have a really nice car, I mean, you gotta wash it like that. You gotta do that stuff yourself. But like for me, it's just it's like a 28. It's like it's not an old truck, but it's not a new truck, and I've taken care of it pretty well. But I don't like to spend on that kind of stuff. That and haircuts. I usually only get a haircut when like I mess up my own haircut. I'll try to cut it myself and mess it up, and then I'll end up going to the barber anyway. But I've been able to get away with that because the haircut's even worse. The haircut's like, you're talking like $20-$30 just to get started, just to sit in the chair, right? $20 or $30 just to sit in the chair for a straight up regular haircut, and they expect a tip, right? So you're talking like $30-$35 before you're out the door. Again, it's like, dude, that's a lot of money, you know? In like 2 years, that's like $70. DCA to BTC instead. I totally get why they have the memes where the guys got like just like a mattress and a TV and like one TV and like one chair. Anyway, all right. Let's wrap the show up. Getting crazy. I feel like super tired. There it is. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in today. Hard Hollow in the house. Thanks for tuning in. And if you watch the show for the first time, hit me up, say hello, leave a comment on the show. If you have any questions, you're watching the replay, leave a comment. I'll answer your question on the following episode. That'll be on Monday. So beginner questions welcomed and encouraged. I'm here to help you. And I know it's a difficult thing to learn about Bitcoin and be shielded from all the crazy stuff that's out there. But this is a place to be if you're new to Bitcoin. Okay, come back on Monday. Invite your friends that need to learn about Bitcoin that you maybe don't want to orange pill. Let me orange pill them for you. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys on Monday for another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. But until then, remember, if you ain't stacking, you're slacking. Have a good weekend, guys. Later, Hard Huddle. That's a sweet car. Gee, I love that thing. Nice. All right, later, guys.